What's up guys, it's McNulty here. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another episode of what the heck is going on in Empires and Puzzles. Well, tomorrow it is going to be the Dragon Dawn. And what does that mean? That means that there is going to be a whole new base and a whole new game, and it's a fresh new start for a lot of people. Now, I did a video a few days ago on the, Dragon Dawn and when it's coming out and things like that. And the responses, the comments were largely negative, and it wasn't anything other than what I'd expected. I expected people to be negative because I've got a lot of negativity about this myself. I've had comments like it's a cash grab, why start a game within another game? And I've been thinking about doing this, and I thought, you know what? Let's have a look and see if there are some positives that are coming out of this. I've had a chat with a few beta players, and I've got to sort of set the record straight because there are a few things that I didn't know about the Dragon Dawn, which is coming tomorrow, which I now know and I think actually are very, very helpful. So if some of you know this already, forgive me, but not everybody goes on the forum and reads every single post. So, the biggest comments were things like, why should we start a whole new game? And I don't want to start all over again with building a brand new base. Now, the other comments were also along the lines of, why couldn't they just make it a separate game altogether that doesn't affect the original game? Now, in speaking to beta players, and they have a pretty good idea of this, the first point that I want to raise here is that dragons will only affect map stages and some quests from day one. So that is very important. It means that they will not have any kind of impact on any player versus player combat in Empires and Puzzles. Okay, you see the dragon assists and things like that. Those will only be used on map stages and some of the quest, and you can choose whether or not you do that. Okay, the second point that I want to raise is that should you view it as a completely different game? Well, no, not really, because it is within Empires and Puzzles. It's within the Empires and Puzzles verse, or whatever you want to call it. I would, instead of viewing it as a different game altogether, view it as an alternate account. Now, a lot of people don't like alternate accounts. A lot of people don't have the time to play alternate accounts. And I'm probably one of those people, to be fair. I do play some other games, and obviously I'm making videos and things like that. But at the same time, an alternate account is an account that you can sort of dip into and out of at your leisure. Now, one day in the probably quite distant, relatively distant future, the dragons may have a little bit more of an overlap into the regular Empires and Puzzles. But I've been assured by a lot of beta players that in all the testing and everything that's been going on, they have had extremely little impact or overlay between the two sort of universes or whatever it is. So I would view it as an alternate account, which you can slowly build up if you want to. If you don't, then remember, it's not going to have any impact on your player versus player combat. That will still remain exactly the same. So that is a big point. Now, the third thing, best estimates are that on average, the base will take over a year to fully level. Okay, that in and of itself is a massive undertaking. Now, initially, it's going to be the same as where you're building up buildings and things like that. But it is a long-term project. It's not something that's just going to happen today. I've seen comments from people saying, okay, the whales are going to just get, boatloads of gems and just chuck them all into it. But I don't really think that that is likely to happen. I feel that there may be some where it does happen, but I think for the majority, they may be quite happy just to play in Empires and Puzzles. Some of the sort of mega whales, they may sort of make their way into the Dragons universe. But for the most part, I think that most of them are going to stick to Empires and Puzzles. Now, that leads me on to the next question, okay, which is number 4, which is why do it? Why create a whole new game? Now, there's a couple of reasons why I think it's a good idea. Now, a lot of me, some reasons why I don't think it's a good idea, but I want to try and focus on some of the positives. So the first thing I want to say is that there has to be progression within a game. If there's no progression, there's stagnation. Things just stagnate and you stay the same. and you don't go anywhere, you get bored of the game, and that is it. There has to be progression within a game. Now, you can either progress to the point where you're super overpowering, just souping up heroes to the point where somebody like Sludgers comes out and then it's all freaking mental, like people just throwing their phones at the walls and saying like, what the hell is this crap? I'm never going to be able to beat these heroes. You know, ward defense is taking like 50 flags and then frustrating the hell out of people to where they quit war after war after war. We just see more and more people quitting. But there has to be some kind of progression, otherwise the game stagnates. So where's the next sort of natural progression? Do we go to third limit breaks? Do we go to, you know, super master emblems? Where do we go? And to be honest, going to the start is not the worst idea in the world, because I've been calling for something like this for ages, like something like a complete factory reset where everybody goes back right to the beginning, a completely level playing field. And that is one way to have progression within a game. And this is by making a separate game. Now, we don't want them to introduce things like gear and stuff like that, like other games would, and then they just get overcomplicated with different gear. Gear is boring. It gets really old really freaking fast. Trust me, I've been there, tried it. It doesn't work. This is actually a better idea. Now, the second reason to create a whole new game is that if you think about it, leveling it's too resource heavy. If they were to have said, okay, you can level your stronghold from level 25 up to level 30, think about the amount of food and amount of iron, increasing your advanced storages, for example, how long in days that would actually take. And it actually makes the gap for new players too big to catch up. If anybody's joining and they have to, you know, compete with people who are now leveling up to level 30 strongholds and things like that, it makes the gap too ginormous for them to keep up. Gaps in heroes can be sort of negated quite quicker, but gaps in base building and farming and things like that, they take a lot of time and a lot of grind. And where a lot of gachas fall down is that they just lump in heroes, but they don't have any grind. With Empires and Puzzles, there's a hell of a lot of grind. And the balance has to be there between the grind and the heroes. So you can't just increase stronghold power. You know, you can't do that. Okay. Now, the last thing I want to mention is that this should be a way for new players to be able to gain a refreshed interest in the game, because they come into Empires and Puzzles and they cannot compete. But if you've been playing Empires and Puzzles for the last 6 months and along comes Dragon Dawn, then you're like, shit, here I go. I can get in at the ground level and I can start to compete with some of the higher level players. And I am all for that. A level playing field is really, really a good idea. So this is quite a bit of conjecture, but it's based more on the knowledge that I've gained from reading through the forum and from speaking to people. Thank you very much to Ruskin. You are a voice of reason that I very much trust, and I base quite a lot of this on his posts, as well as some others that I've seen on the forum as well. Now, I want to end off this video by saying that the other point of making this video is that there is a redeem code which we have been given. Normally, I'm not all about these free codes, but this one's quite cool because it gives you this cutesy little dragon avatar that we see in front of us, and a cute little egg pin. And normally these avatars are expensive, man. They like 500 gems to buy and 200 gems to buy the pin. So if you go online onto the Empires and Puzzles website, and then you go to click on the in the shop, and then you go to the left hand side and you click on redeem, you just need to enter in the code Dragon Dawn. And that's Dragon Dawn, like it's said here, but with no spaces or anything. And you'll get your cutesy little dragon avatar and your egg, and you'll be ready and set and good to go for when the Dragon Dawn kicks off tomorrow morning. So with that all being said, I hope that this has given you a little bit more of a fresh insight into how this is not the worst possible way to progress the game. I think that, you know, if I'm giving the benefit of the doubt, yes, it is about money. Everything in the game is about making money. The game needs to make money to be able to survive. But at the same time, you don't want to feel like you've got absolutely no shot in beating opponents and things like that. And I think that this is nice and a refreshing way to give everybody a level playing field, as I've said probably 3 times already. So yeah, with that all being said, please do let me know in the comments what you guys think. I will obviously be looking at the same thing that you guys will be looking at tomorrow. It's going to be completely new to everyone. So I'm looking forward to getting stuck in with you all. But that being said, drop us a like, subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss any future videos, and I'll see you all again next time. Bye for now.